Well, it's good morning in my world. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you all for being here. And we have a number of senators who will be joining us. Senator Schumer will be here as well as a number of other people. But we're going to go ahead and get started today because this is a critical issue. Because this week, Republicans put out their true position on abortion, a national ban and punishing doctors. For months, they have been posturing and hiding their extreme views and ignoring the health care crises that they are causing. But Republicans can't pretend they just want to leave abortion to states and then block Senator Cortez Masto's bill that would actually make sure people could travel to other states for an abortion. They can't say they don't want to punish doctors and meanwhile block my bill to make sure doctors in states where abortion is legal can be punished for doing their jobs. But if there is any doubt about Republicans' true intentions, about their extreme abortion plans, there is no question after this week. Their plan is plain as day. Republicans want to ban abortion in every single state, and they want to punish doctors. Were you part of the overwhelming vote in Kansas to protect abortion? Were you one of hundreds of thousands of people in Michigan who signed a petition for a referendum to protect abortion? Or are you one of my constituents in Washington State where we have strong abortion protections? Or any other blue state? Well, now Republicans have told you where they're at. They're coming after your rights. Does your doctor provide abortion care for patients who need it? Republicans want to punish them. Their national ban includes a criminal penalty for doctors for up to 5 years of prison. That is the MAGA agenda. That is the bill that was introduced this week. That is what Senator Graham promised they would vote on if they take the House and Senate. And he predicted it could become law. He said loud and clear, this ban is, and I quote, what we are trying to accomplish at the federal level. He claimed he's going to, and I quote, rally the public nationally. Well, I've got some news for Senator Graham. Democrats are already talking about this issue all across the country, and the nation is already rallying for the right to an abortion and against these Republican harmful attacks. Women want to control their own bodies. They do not want politicians making their health care decisions. So if Republicans think they can go after my constituents' rights, go after women's bodies and their futures, and overrule the personal medical decisions of people across the country, they've got another thing coming. I'm not going to stop pushing back. Democrats are not going to stop pushing back. And by the way, neither are men and women across this country. They see it, they know it, they'll be voting. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Senator Amy Klobuchar, who's been an amazing champion in this fight.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Senator Murray, for your incredible leadership for a really, really long time. And you, as I was thinking, I was remembering back in the Barbara Mikulski days, liking the height level of this group until that guy arrived. I'm just like, this was so good. I felt so tall. But I was remembering Barbara Mikulski when she used to stand on that couch and say, suit up, square your shoulders, put your lipstick on, and get ready for the revolution. I never really knew what she was even talking about. But I think we know now that the women of this country have had it, and the men that stand with them have had it. 2.5 months ago, the Supreme Court issued a ruling shredding nearly 5 decades of precedent, just like that. Now women are at the mercy of state laws across the country, and basically this ruling and the Republican senators have said, women, it's not your choice over your health care, it's politicians' choice. This bill that was introduced will take these restrictions even a step further, because right now, states like mine that are kind of an island of health care in the middle of the country, where, say, the North Dakota clinic in Fargo has now moved over based on GoFundMe funding that they were able to raise online, have moved over to Minnesota in Moorhead. the rules there would change. We would no longer have the right of our state to make a decision under this law because a ban would be put in place. And then make no mistake, because I think this was done in a way that was confusing. The states that have much stricter rules, which is so many of them, with 12 with no exceptions for rape or incest, dangerous plans that are out there. We saw the story of the young 10-year-old in Ohio who actually, after being raped, had to go to another state. Those states that have those laws in place, they still stand. Basically, under this law, it would take all of the states to 16 weeks, but then allow the states to have what they already have in place. And as Senator Murray mentioned, this is not what the American people want. 70–80% of Americans believe this is a decision that should be made between a woman and her doctor. As we've seen already across the country, the sunflower state of Kansas, over 500,000 people showing up to vote on the side of a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. That's more than showed up overall in its entirety in the last midterm. The race that was won in the House race in the Hudson Valley, what we saw happen in Alaska. This should be a wake-up call. And what is the response instead? Double down. Double down and put forward a bill for a ban. It is now more clear than ever that we must codify Roe v. Wade into law, and we thank Senator Murray for her incredible leadership. Thank you. Maisie, whatever.
The tall guy?
No. Height cannot take over.
Oh, well. Oh, so many of us have been on the side of a woman's right to choose and abortion rights for decades. If you add up all of the years of all of us fighting that battle, this battle, it's going to be over 100 years, I'd say. So I'm glad to join my colleagues in pointing out that the issue was never about states' rights. It was all about controlling a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. And when a woman can't make decisions about her own body and about abortion, this affects her family, her community, and our economy. So, as mentioned, the vast majority of Americans support a woman's right to bodily autonomy, but apparently Republicans don't think so. So we have the senior senator from South Carolina saying that he would like to, he has proposed a 15-week national ban. Why 15 weeks? Because that's something he's comfortable with, Amazing. And this is not some sort of a hypothetical debate, because if Republicans take control over the Senate, they are going to push for a national ban. And that means that states like Hawaii, which was the first state in the nation to protect a woman's right to choose, we supported abortion before Roe was decided. And all other states that come forward or already have in place basically codifying Roe under this national ban bill would fall by the wayside. And note that a lot of the very people who talk about requiring people to wear a mask, that is interfering with their personal freedoms, but they think nothing of forcing women to have babies. So asking somebody to wear a mask, oh my goodness, that is just, too much. But forcing a woman to have a baby, not a problem. Talk about government overreach, talk about hypocrisy. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have to get around.
Sorry.
This. No, it's okay. I'm short and wide. All right, thank you. Hi, everyone. If I listen hard enough, and maybe you can, well, I can almost hear the echoes of many of my Republican colleagues claiming, insisting that if the Supreme Court overturned Roe, they would still never push for a nationwide abortion ban. You can almost hear it. Well, you still believe them, then I have a bridge to sell you. And I'm not even from New York. Because you must be paying attention. You have to see that the legislations that folks like Senator Graham and Senator Rubio are almost gleefully pushing forward makes a lie of those previous statements. This proposal makes obvious that Republicans never really wanted to leave women's rights to the states like they have long told the American people. And while Democrats spent this summer helping working families keep more of their hard-earned money, Republicans spent theirs trying to strip away millions of Americans' rights and effectively making 50% of America second-class citizens who do not have the right to decide what happens to their own bodies. And frankly, I refuse to let my daughters grow up in a world with fewer rights than I had. And it's not just me. I spent the summer talking to folks all across Illinois. And let me just remind you, Illinois is 6 blue counties and 96 red ones. And all across Illinois, time and again, I talked to mothers and I said, let me explain to you what this abortion ban does. And let me tell you what Illinois is facing with people coming from as far away as Texas in order to come to Illinois to get the health care that they deserve, that they need. Let me tell you what it means to your daughters who choose to go to school in one of these southern states. They're not going to have access to their own reproductive health care and decision making. And so it is those women as well who've said, you know what, I've never voted on abortion before. It's been something that I support and something I'm concerned about, but I am voting on abortion this time. And these are women on both sides of the aisle. In fact, it is often those independent women who have been very supportive of the right to choice, but have never voted on it. Let me tell you, like in Kansas, they're voting on it now. I refuse to let my constituents walk into their OB appointments and have to be haunted by the voice of Marco Rubio telling them what they can and cannot do with their bodies. I refuse to force any woman to have to live her life fearful that Lindsey Graham effectively has more control over her medical decisions than she or her doctors. So I'm going to promise you all here today, and I will say it until I no longer have a voice, I'm going to keep doing everything I can in my power to prevent this nationwide ban on basic health care, a ban that explicitly goes against what the vast majority of Americans want from happening. Our country deserves better than that. And, you know, my girls need to grow up in a country where their decision-making is just as valued and just as trusted as everyone else. And these abortion bans tell them that they are second-class citizens, and I refuse to let that happen. Thank you.
My colleagues seem to have promoted me. I'm barely a household word in my own household, but now my colleagues say I'm just tall guy. So I've gotten the promotion, and all three of my colleagues have said it very well. We're so proud in the Northwest of Senator Murray's leadership, because this is not just something that came up in the last month. She's been doing this for years and years. My two colleagues have been all in. I'm very proud, because a lot of you know I do a fair amount of technology work, and I've been particularly concerned as a result of Dobbs that women are going to have their personal data weaponized against them. And 3 cheers for Senator Hirono, who for our caucus is leading My Body, My Data, and I'm really pleased to be one of her wingmen on this whole effort. Here's what I think the bottom line is. Senator Graham is trying to crush the rights of millions of American women to secure an ideological triumph. And what we're all trying to make sense out of is for years they pledged kind of fealty to small government. And now we're talking about a federal ban, a federal national ban. Nothing small about that. The bill tramples on the rights of Oregonians who sure don't share Senator Graham's view on the right, views on this. And as I said, millions of other women. This is fundamentally, and Senator Graham has really highlighted it, this is an issue about who's in control. When you've gone through all of the other debating points, that's what this comes down to. Is it going to be policies that Senator Graham defines, or is it going to be women having control over their own bodies? And now, as Senator Murray and all my colleagues have said, we know what they want. They want a national, federal ban. And I assume if they were to get that, they'll start criminalization, because we've already seen what they're saying about doctors. So I just want everybody to know I'm all in, Senator Murray, on this. We're thrilled that you're leading the fight, not just for the Northwest, but for our country. And I will be pleased to be tall guy in this effort, in this cause, to make sure that the rights of women are protected.
Thank you, Ron.
We've witnessed over the past several months a full-out assault on women, on their reproductive freedom, on their basic civil rights and civil liberties to make decisions that are life and death decisions to them, undermining their right to travel, undermining their right to privacy, to be able to have communications with their mothers on Facebook, to be able to talk to their doctors, to be able to access life-saving care. It is unconscionable to me that Senator Graham now believes that this should be a federal law, that he believes now that states' rights no longer need to weigh in our minds, that he wants to have a federal ban across the board. He wants to codify the Supreme Court's decision that women, for 40 years of their lives, their entire reproductive life, have no right to privacy. That's what he wants to codify. That no woman in America, for 40 years of her life, has a fundamental right to privacy. Those fundamental rights that allow her to make these very intimate decisions about when she's having children, under what circumstances she's having children, with whom she's having children. That's what's so unconscionable about Senator Graham's bill. He wants this to be law of the land, regardless of where you live, regardless of the rights and privileges that states have put in their own constitution to protect women's right to privacy and their basic civil liberties. And if you really want to think about it, this is more than political. It's more than ideologic. It's basically the imposition of a theocracy in the United States. That's what it is. It's taking one religious viewpoint, one, and imposing it on the entire nation. And if you listen to Clarence Thomas, he wants it expanded. He wants to eliminate all the rights and privileges under the right to privacy. He wants to eliminate the right to contraception, the right to privacy in the bedroom, the right to LGBTQ equality and marriage. He's taking this country back over 50 years. He's taking this country back to a time when women did not have full equality. He wants to deny right to privacy to half of the U.S. population. This should be blocked in every way possible. It should be called out for what it is, an attack on women, an attack on our bodily autonomy, an attack on our sovereignty as human beings. It's unconscionable, it's wrong, and we have to defeat it.
Senator Schumer is not here yet. I'm happy to take any questions. I just want you to know that he is adamantly a huge force behind us all as we do this on our side. Yes?
Are there any limits on abortion that Democrats could support?
Look, I supported what was the principle in this country for 50 years, and that is the Roe decision, which was rejected by the Supreme Court and has now put our country into chaos.
Yeah, playing off on that, would Democrats be willing to any federal abortion ban time frame at all?
What are you talking about?
With regards to Senator Graham's 15-week time frame, but would Democrats be willing to?
We want to put in law protections for every woman in this country, no matter where they live or how much money they make or where they come from, the ability to make their own health care decisions as they had under Roe before it was overturned by this court. Yeah.
Thank you, Senator. What do you think about Republicans and their arguments coming back are that the U.S. is the outlier, that a lot of European nations have 15 to 20-week abortion bans? And
look, you know, he can debate weeks and countries and everything else. I know what my constituents want. I know what the women and men of America want in vast numbers, and that is the ability to make their own health care decisions with their family, their faith, their doctor, depending on what they need. I am not in that doctor's office with them. Neither should any other politician be. It should be their decision, and that's what we support. One last question, yes.
Senator Murray, you and others have referred to this bill as the GOP's position on abortion.
Yep.
You know, a number of us have been asking around the last few days since it was introduced, and just about everyone seems to be, well, not everyone, but most people seem to be disavowing it, saying that they believe it should be left to the states. McConnell said a similar thing. Do you think they're lying?
Well, what I can tell you is last time Lindsey Graham introduced a bill like this, 48 Republicans co-sponsored it. So I know everybody's worried about an election, and they're seeing what we're seeing, which is women and men standing up in this country and saying, no, you cannot. And now they're running from it. But I also have been in so many rooms for so many years where the last issue that Republicans put in our face before they'd allow a budget to go forward, before they would allow the postal reform bill to go forward, before they would even allow Ukrainian support to go forward, they had to put on us a question of whether they could put in abortion language. These are people that are not going to give up. I watched Supreme Court nominees stand before us and say that they believed in precedent. Look what happened. So I'm going to fight back with everything I have.